Did you know that you could be making 20 to 40% more doing the exact same thing that you do right now by making one change in your business? In today's episode, it is all about why you need to create a framework, a philosophy, or a methodology that you use to talk about how you approach your work. We're going to talk about how you can leverage it to charge more. We're going to talk about why clients prefer to work with someone who has a framework. And we're going to talk about what you can do to start building yours right now. Because seriously, if you could charge more money by doing the exact same thing, why aren't you doing it? And in case we haven't met yet, I'm Laura Zovelson, and this is the Gen Expert Show, where we talk about how to become the go to in your niche so you can grow your solo business without spending every weekend glued to your laptop. So, two of my recent clients have pushed back on me hard when I recommended they create a framework. One was a leadership development consultant, and the other was a career coach. Now, both work one on one with clients, and so both of them told me essentially the same thing. My work is custom. I can't use the same approach for everyone. I have to tailor it to the situation. And look, I get it. This kind of feels counterintuitive. It seems like approaching each client individually and creating a bespoke program for them would be premium, right? That's the white glove approach, it's high touch. But here's what's actually happening. The thing is, your clients, they're risk averse. They don't really want one of a kind. They want proven. They want something that they can grab onto, easily explain to their boss, and they want something that they've seen work over here, and then they want to know how you can do it for them. So we need to get you past the mindset that frameworks are going to make you rigid. They actually make you referable. They increase confidence that you can do what you say you can do. Now, look, I'm not saying you have to write a book or be a keynote speaker in order to be successful. But if you want to be the go to in your niche and you want those kind of opportunities to come in for you, you have to have a framework. You have to have a way that clearly shows people this is the before, this is the after, and this is how I can get you there. Now, it doesn't have to be linear. It doesn't have to be a series of steps. It can be a philosophy, it can be a set of guidelines, but this is a powerful component of your point of view, your POV, that's going to go a long way to getting your potential clients to trust you and want to work with you. So, when you say that you customize every engagement for every client, especially if you're selling into a large organization, they don't see it as a flex, they see it as risk. So, where I'm going with all of this today is I think that your clients don't just prefer that you have a framework or a philosophy, they actually need you to have one. And by the way, when I use the word framework or methodology or signature system, it doesn't have to be a step by step process, right? It could be a thinking model like the BCG matrix. It can be a step by step process like my expert engine. But it could be a philosophy. The seven habits of highly effective people comes to mind for that one. So we have a lot of flexibility in how you do this. The most important part is that you name it and you can show it. So I think there are five reasons why this is such a big deal when it comes to getting clients and why it's the fastest path to higher fees, a shorter sales cycle, and more referrals. Okay, so let me walk you through the five reasons that I think it's important that every consultant or expert have a framework if you want to be the go to in your niche. So, reason number one is understanding equals buying. People do not buy things they don't understand. So, here's what happens when you don't have a framework the client calls you, they're interested, you have this great discovery call, and then they ask for a proposal. You send it over, and then you get this email back. Can we schedule another call? I need to invite Joe and Bethany. Or let's circle back on the details. I don't understand phase two, right? The translation is that they don't really understand your process. They don't really understand how you're going to get them from where they are now to where they want to go. But when you have a framework or a methodology, you're able to say, when I work with companies to solve your kind of problem, I generally find this approach works best. And then you outline your approach. First, we do this, then we do this. Or first, we do this assessment, and then we use that data to make this decision, right? If you can show them that you've already worked out in your head how you're going to get them to where they want to go, you are going to be so much farther down the path of closing that work, especially when you're an independent expert, right? A framework gives your potential clients a mental model and they can visualize the journey from problem to solution. The second reason your clients need a framework is they need it to sell you internally. So, what you may or may not realize, right, is your champion, that person that loves you and wants to hire you. They're not the only ones making the decision, right? Research shows that B2B buying decisions usually involve 6 to 10 stakeholders, most of whom you're never going to meet. So, it's the direct manager, the skip level manager, depending on the size of the engagement, there's like financial approval. And so the person that you're working with, that you've established a relationship with, they have to sell you to all of those people. And without a framework, they're kind of stuck saying, I talked to this consultant. She's really smart. I think she can help us. That's not a super persuasive pitch. If you have a framework, their pitch then becomes I talked to Laura. She uses this framework, and here's how it works: step one, step two, step three. And here's the outcome. And here's how I've seen it work for companies like ours. So now their pitch is more credible and they're more confident. So your framework is how your champion can sell you when you're not in the room. So all that circling back that happens when you're trying to get the proposal signed. So a framework might result in a major shortcut for you in the time to getting the stuff closed faster. So reason number three your clients need you to have a framework is they can use it to justify your rates. So let's talk about the money piece, right? You send the proposal and the client comes back with, I don't know if we can make this work. Do you have any room? Well, what just happened? They're trying to do the math. Or maybe you did the math for them in your proposal because you quoted time and materials. When you have a framework, the whole conversation shifts from hours to outcomes. So you say, you're not paying me to figure this out. You're paying for the framework I spent 15 years building with 50 clients so I can get this fixed for you. There's an old joke about a washing machine repair person. They come in, they spend 2 minutes looking at the washing machine, they turn one screw, and they say, that'll be $900. And the person with the broken machine is outraged. And they say, what are you talking about? You were only here 2 minutes and you turned one screw. How can you be charging me that much? And the repair person smiles and says, I charged you $10 for the 2 minutes, and the rest of it is for knowing which screw to turn. When you have a framework, you're having a completely different conversation than the consultant B who says this is going to take 10 hours and this is my rate per hour and this is my price. Reason number four your clients need you to have a framework is it helps them compare you to the competition and it helps you win. So, look, your client is comparing you to two or three other consultants, right? One is Bob's friend from down the hall, and one is somebody they found off the internet. And guess what? You all sound a lot alike. Strategic partner, blah, 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 customized approach, blah, 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 collaborative process, blah, 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 right? So, generic consultant, I'll customize something for you, I'll take a collaborative approach, I'll give you my strategic insights. Whereas the framework led consultant says, I use my proprietary XYZ framework, here's how it works, and here's the results my clients get. So, which one do you want to hire, right? Which one stands out to you? Your framework is a key component of your differentiation. It proves you have a repeatable system, that this isn't your first rodeo, right? And that's the reason that the framework or your methodology or your philosophy is such a key component of my point of view or POV framework that we use to build your expert engine. So you see how it fits in there with the opinions and the stories? And actually, what works best is if you talk about your framework and then you use your stories and your opinions to support it. Because when the stakes are high, would you rather be guided by someone who says, I know how to get you there, or someone says, oh, we're just going to figure it out along the way? Reason number five your clients need you to have a framework is it makes it easier for them to refer you. So if your business runs on referrals, most of ours do, don't you want to make it as easy as possible for your network to tell people about you and explain what you do? So think about it. Most referrals go something like this. Oh, I think Christy can help you. She worked with us a couple of years ago, back on a sales comp project. I'm not sure she's a fit, but I'll connect you, right? Compare that to the person you need to see for designing a sales comp program is Christy. She has a five-step approach that she will customize and drop into your business. She really knows what she's doing. And by the way, you should follow her blog because she shares great insights about her approach on there, right? Differentiated thinking around memorable frameworks just travels well. Otherwise, it's a little bit like the telephone game that we played in the third grade, where each person like whispers something to the next person, and by the time you get to the end, it's completely different. So to recap, it doesn't matter if you've got a linear process or a thinking model or a philosophy, but if you have a framework, one, it helps clients understand what they're buying. Two, it gives your champion the language they need to sell you internally. Three, it helps them justify your rates because you're selling a system, not hours. 4, it helps you win against competitors because they all sound the same. So this helps differentiate you. And 5, it makes referrals easy, clear, and compelling. So let's talk about what a framework could mean for your business, right? Charging more, closing faster, more referrals. If you've been in a holding pattern for a while, this could be what gets your business wheels turning again. So, look, unpacking and articulating your framework is something that we do inside the Expert Engine. So, if you want to be on the priority list for that, I dropped the link in the description. In the meantime, if you want to get started on your own thinking about your framework, here's what I would recommend. First of all, you've got to start with the problem you want to be known for solving, right? So, personally, I created the Expert Engine strategy, and the whole point of it is to help experts get off the revenue roller coaster by becoming the go to in their niche. So, start with a clear problem. Then I would pull AI into the party at this point. So if you record your calls using something like Fathom or that tool that's built into Zoom, drop the transcripts from multiple clients in there and ask it to highlight recurring patterns or problems or solutions. Okay. And then this last part is probably the hardest, but see if you can create something visual that represents your process or your philosophy. It doesn't have to be beautiful to begin with. Don't go out and hire a graphic designer. Just sketch it and start showing it to people because that's going to give you a place to start iterating. Okay, if you got something from today's episode, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe. I really do lean pretty heavily on the data to help me decide which video to make next. And thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I read every single one of them. I answer every single one of them. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, and I will see you next time.